All right, let's dive into something that might be nagging at a few of you. What on earth happens to those old tax dues from before the GST era? Today, we're going to demystify the whole thing by looking at two really important forms, DRC-07A and DRC-08A. So picture this. You've got some old, lingering tax demand from the days of VAT or service tax. You might think, hey, that's ancient history now that we have GST. But can the government really still come calling for that money? The answer is a big, resounding yes. And how they do it is actually pretty clever. So how exactly do they bridge that gap between the old tax world and our current GST system? It sounds like it could be a mess, right? But nope, there's a specific process built right into the GST law to handle exactly this kind of situation. And here's the secret. It's all thanks to the GST law itself. The law gives tax authorities the power to grab those old unpaid dues and, poof, turn them into current GST arrears. It's like a legal time machine that brings old debts into the present day. Okay, so the whole thing kicks off with an official notice. This is the first piece of the puzzle you need to know, and it's called Form DRC-07A. Think of it as the official starting pistol for the recovery process. So what is this form really? Well, simply put, DRC-07A is the official tool the tax officer uses to take that old unpaid demand and upload it directly to the GST portal. The second that happens, that old debt is no longer in the past. It's a live, current liability you have to deal with under GST. Let's make this real with a quick story. Meet ABC Traders. They've got an old, unpaid VAT demand for 1,20,000 rupees hanging around. The GST officer comes along, issues a DRC-07A, and bam, that 1.2 lakh demand suddenly pops up in their electronic liability register on the GST portal. It's now officially in the system. And once that form is issued, if you log into your portal, you'll see a very clear status update. It'll say DRC-07A issued. This is your signal that the old demand is now active and part of your current GST liabilities. But hold on, what if that initial demand isn't the final word? What if there's an appeal or a mistake? Is the story over? Not quite. This is where our second form, DRC-08A, makes its grand entrance. It's the plot twist. Think of DRC-08A as the update or correction form. It's the official way for the tax officer to change that original demand. And it can do a lot. It can reduce the amount, fix an error, or, in some cases, even wipe out the demand completely. Let's go back to our friends at ABC Traders. They decided to fight that 1.2 lakh demand, and guess what? They won their appeal. The amount was reduced to just 70,000 rupees. So, to reflect this win, the officer issues a DRC-08A. And just like that, the liability on the portal is corrected to the new, lower amount. And you guessed it, the status on the portal changes right along with it. It will now clearly say, DRC-08A issued. This confirms that an official change has been made to that original demand. So, let's just boil it all down. DRC-07A is for the initial demand. It's what puts the liability on your plate. DRC-08A is all about the change. It's what adjusts that liability or maybe even takes it off your plate entirely. One starts the process and the other one changes the game. Simple as that. Okay, so we know what these forms are now. That's great. But let's get practical. What do you actually do when one of these shows up? Here's your game plan. First things first, you gotta know where to look. So you log in to the GST portal. From there, you're gonna navigate over to Services, then click on User Services. Inside that menu, you'll see an option called View Additional Notices and Orders. That's your destination. Now, the good news is you won't be left in the dark. The system is designed to send you an SMS and an email alert when one of these forms gets issued. When you do log in, you'll see separate, clearly marked tabs for DRC-07A and DRC-08A, so you can see the original demand and any changes, nice and organized. All right, what if you need to pay it? The steps are pretty straightforward. Again, you'll start at Services, then you'll head into your ledgers. From there, it's as simple as selecting Payment Towards Demand. Now listen up, because this part is absolutely crucial. When you're paying one of these old demands, you must use your electronic cash ledger. You cannot, under any circumstances, use your input tax credit, or ITC, to pay it off. That's a hard and fast rule, so don't forget it. So let's do a super quick recap of those portal statuses. If you see DRC-07A issued, that just means the old demand is now officially logged for recovery. If you see DRC-08A issued, you know there's been an update,
a change, a correction, or maybe even a cancellation. It's a really clear way to track what's going on.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground, so let's zoom out and make this as simple as humanly possible. If you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this next part. Here is the absolute easiest way to think about this. DRC-07A equals uploaded. The old demand has been uploaded. DRC-08A equals changed. The uploaded demand has been changed or canceled. Uploaded versus changed. That's it. That's the core difference. So now you're armed with this knowledge, you know exactly what these forms mean and what to look for. And that leaves me with just one question for you. What's the first thing you're going to check in your GST portal? Thanks for tuning in.